Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Global warming is real and it's a problem, and we are not fixing it. 2019 was the second warmest year on record and the end of the warmest decade 2010 to 2019 ever recorded. Carbon dioxide levels and other greenhouse gases in the atmosphere rose to a new record in 2019. Climate change is affecting every country on every continent. It is disrupting national economies and affecting lives. Weather patterns are changing, sea levels are rising, and weather events are becoming more extreme. Although greenhouse gas emissions are projected to drop about 6% in 2020 due to travel ban and economic slowdowns resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, this improvement is only temporary and climate change is not on pause. Once the global economy begins to recover from the pandemic, emissions are expected to return to higher levels. The changes occurring to our climate can seem remote compared with such immediate problems as poverty, disease, economic stagnation. Yet, without addressing climate change, progress towards resolving these other core development priorities will be seriously undermined. Climate changes increasingly affect basic elements of life for people around the world. Water availability, food production, health, and the environment. If left unchecked, climate change could cause significant economic and ecological disruption, especially for already vulnerable population, including women and children. Before going deeper, let's talk about what developing country is. Most developing countries have this criteria in common. The first one is high levels of poverty. The second one is human resource weakness. The third one is economic vulnerability. Poor people and poor countries will bear the brunt of climate change. This is because the developing countries, and notably the less developed, rely heavily on climate sensitive sectors and have high levels of poverty, low levels of education, and limited human, institutional, economic, technical, and financial capacity. And lastly, taxes. The problem with taxes is it hurts, especially for the poor. So the main question is how to integrate climate change goals to developing countries. The climate change key targets for 2030 is at least 40% cuts in greenhouse gas emission from the 1990 levels. Second one is at least 32% share for renewable energy. The third one is at least 32.5% improvement in energy efficiency. For me, the smartest way we can achieve the 2030 target is with innovation. Back in 1860s, when we were hunting whales almost extinction, the solution to that was not to tax whale. The solution was the innovation of kerosene that undercut the cost of whale oil by 90% and essentially saved the whales. When India was starving in 1970, the solution was not to subsidize food for every Indian. The solution was the Green Revolution to produce much more food for every plot of land. And so, the solution of global warming is not to subsidize or taxes, but it's to dramatically ramp up investment in green innovation. It was widely thought that green energy sources like wind power and solar farms were expensive luxuries that only rich, developed countries could afford. that started to change quite dramatically since around 2015, when for the first time the amount of global investment actually was larger in developing countries than it used to developed countries. Here a very significant player is China, which invested massively in solar energy production and battery production. One reason is they think this is going to be the new industrial revolution, which is the next stage of human development. Over the last decade, China has committed something like $780 billion towards wind and solar energy, which is quite extraordinary. But there are other developing countries that are really catching up fast. In fact, last year, 2019 countries joined the $1 billion on investing $1 billion or more into wind and solar energy. And it's become much cheaper than it used to be. So going for a wind farm or a solar farm, it's not just quicker and faster to build. It's not just cleaner, but it's actually cheaper. That is all why innovation is the solution of global warming. Just like it was for whales and starving kids. Thank you.